Hi, I went too far. Nope. Hi. Hello. Hi. Oh, my squeaky chair, I swear to God. Hi. Hi, welcome back to another video. I've not filmed a video in like a month and then I've suddenly just decided to film 2 in one day. If that is not a mood, I don't know what is. Oh my God, this squeaky chair is driving me. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Oh my God, I have a intro now, don't I? Roll the intro. I can't believe I can say that. I hope you like my intro, by the way. I made it myself on Canva. I'm very proud of it. Thank you very much. Truth be told, this video was going to be tagged on to the end of my previous video, but I decided that that video was way too long. The raw footage is 50 minutes, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But I decided to just make this one a super quick separate video. This video is going to be 5 books I've borrowed from my best friend. That is it, that's the video. Amy, you might have heard of Amy from Amy's Bookshelf. I will link her Instagram and a blog down below. We met at uni, she's my best friend. Good times. We are both very avid readers. We both have book-related things on the internet. I read her shelves all the time and she reads my shelves all the time. It's a great time. And it's great because we have very different reading tastes. So I'm always stepping out of my comfort zone into something else when I'm picking books off her shelf. Some of these, they're pretty me, but then some of them I wouldn't have bought myself or anything like that. So yeah, it's great. And I have way too many of her books at the moment, but when I most recently saw her, I stole 5 more. So I thought I would show you what those 5 are. Before I start, I would love it if you subscribed, if you would like to, if you enjoy seeing this kind of content, seeing this face, I don't know what I'm doing. It would mean a lot. I would like it. I would like it. You don't have to, but I would appreciate it massively. Okay, here are the books. I'm going to put them down here and just show you through them, basically. It's very chill, grab a cup of tea. I have a water because I have a headache. Okay, so the first book I have temporarily borrowed from Amy is The Recovery of Rose Gold by Stephanie Wrobel. This is kind of like a thriller-esque, it's hardback, wild, a thriller-esque book. I'm trying to read more thrillers, so I've stolen 2 thrillers to try and figure out what sort of thrillers, mystery-esque books I enjoy, because I'm not sure. I know that I don't enjoy like straight white man thrillers, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to work out what I do enjoy within a thriller zone. And I also love Criminal Minds, like the TV show. So I'm trying to also find books that are similar to Criminal Minds, because I know that I love that style of show, so maybe I'll love that style of book. So if you have any thriller recommendations, please, 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 please leave them below. Genuinely, any type of thriller, and I will look them up and then assess whether I want to read it or not. Or try and sell it to me, you know, like, you could do you. This book has like a I just got distracted by that. Oh, this book has a very like dark, disturbing premise about a daughter who thought she was sick all these years, and it turned out that her mum is a really good liar, and then her mum has gone to prison, and it says, like, from what I'm gathering from this vague in a French flap blurb, that the mum then has come out of prison and the daughter, Rose Gold, agrees that the mum can live with her again, and it kind of goes from there. But maybe there'll be flashback. I'm not really sure. That's like the premise that I know. Sounds very like disturbing and dark, and I'm very intrigued at the same time. I've seen like definitely some mixed reviews of this one on Goodreads. I'm pretty sure Amy liked it. I'm very intrigued to give this one a go and see if this is the kind of thriller that I enjoy. And then speaking of thrillers, we also have Little Darlings by Melanie Golding. This one also really intrigued me and seems a little bit more Criminal Mindsy, not really, but like a little bit, because we have a detective. I think she is a detective? DS. Detective suspective, no. What does DS stand for? Detective inspector. I'm gonna have to Google this. Detective sergeant. Oh. This book is about a mum called Lauren, and I'm just looking at the back here. She is convinced that someone is trying to steal her newborn twins, and then it's like she calls it in to the police, and she like hides and waits for the police, but then it's like reported as like a false alarm. DS Harper decides to investigate the case anyway, and so we go from there. What has happened? Has someone done this? Has someone not done this? What's going on? I love a book that has a question throughout. It makes me read it super quick. Not that you have to read quick, but it just fully grips me. I have to know the answer to the question, like, and I know that that is obviously the whole point, and the whole point of mysteries, to answer questions, but it works. So I'm really excited to read this one. Okay, the next three are all much more my jam. Not that thrillers aren't, but obviously this is a new foray for me. And so the next three, I was just like, as soon as I knew that she'd bought it, I was like, I'm stealing that? Yeah, okay, thank you. The first one is Vox by Christina Dalcher. This one is very popular. I'm sure you know what it's about, but it's a dystopian world in which women have been silenced. They are limited to 100 words a day. They have stopped being taught how to read or write. It sounds fucking terrifying, but equally excited to read it at the same time. Excited, but like, I'm very intrigued. Basically, like, what kind of commentary is this going to give? Because obviously it gives a premise of the type of commentary it is going to give, but how well is it going to explore that commentary in terms of like gender and women, and like, is it going to be inclusive to all genders? Is it going to be a bit more exclusionary in that sense? You know, like, I'm very intrigued to see how the world plays out, and it also sounds terrifying. I love a dystopian me. The next one you'll definitely have heard of, and that is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo. I haven't looked, and I haven't wanted to look really far into in depth what it's about. I know that it features mostly Black women of colour in Britain, and it's like 12 stories throughout, but they are all interlinked somehow. That is kind of all I know. From the kind of brief description, not a blurb on the back, like, it's showing a very honest and raw view of Britain and what it is like to be a Black woman in Britain. Also, I'm just very intrigued how all the stories interlink, because I love that. I love when stories interlink in small ways and characters, you know, and I'm pretty sure that is what this book does a bit. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. And as we all know, it won the Booker Prize with The Testaments. From what I've heard, and I've not read either of those books, this book should have just won. So I'm very excited to read it. I am kind of intrigued to read The Testaments. I loved The Handmaid's Tale, but I've heard meh things about The Testaments, and I've heard only amazing things about this book. So draw your own conclusions. The very final book I borrowed from Amy on my most recent trip to her house is Tinman by Sarah Winman. This one I first heard from Lily Eleanor Reads, and I remember her describing it as very tender, and I was like, oh, that sounds excellent. And then I just saw it everywhere. You know when that happens, when one person mentions it and it really piques your interest, and then it's suddenly just like, you want that? Okay. Yeah, that was what happened with this book. And then Amy picked it up, and I was like, Amy, please, can I borrow it? And now here we are. It's very short, but I've heard that's not to be like deceiving, and it really like wraps you up in the world. And it's historical fiction, but it's not like that historical. I think it's like the 80s. It's about these two boys in Oxford, I think, and then it's like them growing up, and there's also a woman called Annie in the mix, and I don't really know like a solid grounding of like the plot, but that's okay. Like, I don't really want to know a solid grounding of the plot going in. I know that it's gay, and I know that it's tender and like very like painting a real picture of real people, which I really love sometimes. Thank you for letting me borrow it, Amy. That is it. That's my little short haul. Thank you so much for watching. Obviously, don't forget to go and check out Amy, the babe who lent me all of these books. And I think that gives a nice overview of her reading taste as well. She also reads a lot of independent books from self-published authors. So yeah, if you're interested in discovering some books you really just haven't heard of, would defo recommend checking out her reviews. And her Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. I will keep you posted on my updates of reading those books. Maybe I'll do a reading vlog. Who knows? I definitely don't know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you in a new video. Bye.